Yeah. Hello all. Welcome to the session. Sorry for the delay. So we will start the session. So today is the day two of the demo for the new Linux Administrator batch 14. Okay. So let's go through the course. So we will come back to this slide later. And then general information, let me just quickly go through. The first three sessions will be for free. And from the fourth session, it will be a new Zoom link will be sent only for the paid candidates. Okay. And the first two sessions recording, which means today's recording also will be available in the YouTube channel. And let me quickly show you the YouTube channel. The first day's recording also should be there. Yeah, you see this one, right? So just check this YouTube channel. And you can even see the previous recordings, like previous batches and all. You can go through. Okay, fine. So let's see. The today's session's recording also would be available in the YouTube channel. And if you're not part of the WhatsApp group, kindly join via this link. So I'm sending that also. And please don't do any batch shifting or there won't be any refund either. And all the recordings will be available in the portal, logiclabstech.com. Once you're paid for the course, it will be appearing in your portal. The notes, everything will be uploaded there only. Okay. And if you're having any issues while you're paying for the session or any issue in the recordings, right? So anything, including technical doubts, you can reach out to the support team only during the business hours. Okay. So from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and from Monday to Saturday. Okay, so these are all their contacts. So just go through that, and these are all the social media links. So you can follow us in all the links. Fine. So we will start with the booting process. So what is a booting process and how important it is for a sysadmin, right? So we will see this one, and then we'll go on to the virtualization and containerization, the difference between both. Okay. So if time permits, I will cover both. If not, we will see that one in the next session. And you might ask the installation, right? So we will see that. So installation part, um, tomorrow we will cover it because you should know how my way of training is. And this is an important topic. So you must know this, no other choice. Okay, so that's the thing. We will see how a booting process is or in Linux how it is, right? So because it is the same, except few steps are more steps are there for Windows. For Mac also, it will differ, or it will be almost same since Mac is also based on Linux. Okay? So yeah, firstly, what is the thing or what is the process? BIOS. But before that, let me quickly give a. We need to understand what are all the components in your system, right? So everyone will call it as a server or a system. What is that? So you because in work environment you will never see that physically. You will see only the like server's name. Let's say it is Logic Labs. You will see only Logic Labs. What is going beyond that? Because if you know the physical aspect of your let's say your server, then only you can pinpoint an issue means you again it's not like only if you saw it physically you can understand it, but you must know what are all the components involved in a server, right? Because many don't do since you own a laptop. So on laptop everything is covered. Whereas if you own a computer, at least in that case, you will see the components. And if something went wrong in the components, you have a fair knowledge of where to get that component and what is that component, right? So, so many nuances are there, or you need to scrap for so many components. And yeah, so that's the thing. Let me quickly show you the motherboard which I use. Motherboard MSI B450. This is the current system's code. Yes, and this is my mother. I'll quickly show you what are all the. Let me get a straight. Okay, yeah, this should be fine. Okay, fine. So what are all the components in your motherboard? And then we'll go on to this one. I will be quickly explaining things. So here, firstly, there are two bridges. Okay, so one is the north bridge and south bridge. Okay, so they divided the components into two bridges, north, these all, and these are all south bridge. And in the north bridge, the most important thing in your whole system is your CPU. Right? So this is where your CPU is placed. And this is a form factor which is called as ATX. Okay. So ATX, and there is one more thing called as MATX, mini ATX means the size, every components will be the same. It's not like, okay, they will scrap the components, but the size will be very less. Small in size, it will be mini ATX. Okay. So, and there is even like even smaller mini ITX board is there. So A means it is a standard size like this. Okay, so the same motherboard is what I own. So yeah, and this is the CPU. And is every CPU compatible with every motherboard? The quick answer is no. Not only for your consumer grade, for enterprise also. You cannot simply plug every CPU with any motherboard. So there is a huge list of compatible motherboards. You can choose from that. Okay. And the memory. So this is where your memory sticks will be placed. So each are separate slots. So there is how many? One, two, three, four. So four slots are there, and it depends on the version. So mostly nowadays it is DDR4 and DDR5 based RAM, and DDR, you see here it's a little mentioned, right? So DDR4, right? So this one is DDR4, but nowadays DDR5 is also there. Okay, and so these are all the heat sinks. So what or why we need a heat sink in your motherboard? So there is a one like capacitors and VRMs is there here, and which is also an important aspect. So moving on to this south bridge, you have the most important one, which is your PCIe slots. Okay, so PCIe is very, very important. And like you see, one, two, three, four, five. So five slots are there here. So these slots, you can connect all the things like from your GPU till your sound card, your Wi-Fi, right? So, so many use cases are there for this PCI slots. Let's say you are using some advanced audio device, you need some more PCI slots, like based on adapters you need to connect. And so those things can be placed here, and this is called a CMOS battery, this round thing. This is just a battery, like your in your wall clock, right? So like that, there is a battery here. I will explain what is the use case of this battery in a moment. And you have the SATA connectors here. So these two are nothing but your hard disk, right? So hard disk and those things are connected. And this small thing, right? So this is what called as M.2 slot for your SSD connection. Okay. So these are all your IO connections, like your uh, display port. Show you give the image of that. Yeah, this is the. Zoom. Yeah. So you see the I/O ports, like here there are multiple USB ports, HDMI, and this is also display port, VGA port, right? So these are all the power ports. So There is a 8 pin for your motherboard. There is 24 pin port here. So this one, very huge one, right? So here also this one. This is nothing but your power for your CPU. Sorry, for your motherboard. Okay. And these are all for your like cabinet and so many things, sound, USB, right? So many are there. And on the whole, so this is what your motherboard looks like. Okay. So let's say there is you didn't place your memory correct. Like you didn't plugged in fully this memory, right? So let's say you didn't pressed fully. So that is also an issue. And if there is any dust or debris in between these slots, not only here, everywhere, if there is a dust, it is prone to dust for sure, because trust me, it will carry a lot of dust, but every now and then you should clear it. And if there is a dust, also that can cause an the connectivity issue. And let's say if the very first thing what you do, power on the machine, right? On or off. So once you power on, it goes through a process called as post. So what is post? Power on, self test. What does that mean? So it will send a small ampere of current to all the, a small voltage of current to all the components. And if the components responds back, then only that component is active. And you might not able to see here, there is, see here, in here it is not visible clearly. Actually, there are three LEDs mentioned shown over here. So what is the purpose of these LEDs? If CPU is booted, it will show an amber light here. So if everything is booted fine, the amber light will be gone. Okay. So if it is showing an amber light and it is staying there, then there is some hardware issue with, let's say, memory, CPU memory, and your BIOS. It will show. Okay. So the next one is your BIOS only. But yeah, so if something went wrong in the hardware level, the first step itself, it will fail. Okay. So now let's say you powered on and you can see something in your display. What is the first thing you can see in your display? That it might be quick in some cases, but the very first thing it loads is BIOS. What is BIOS? Does anyone know that? You see, basic input output for the system. Now, what is input output? Can someone put it in the chat? Let's see. For your like as of your understanding, what is an input and output for the system? Like whatever you see is an output device. Whatever is connected, let's say even pen drive or whatever it is input. So what is the input and output as per your understanding? Can someone put it in the chat? Let's see. You can type it PT or Prasad, Vinita Singh. So again, it can be wrong, guys. So don't think that okay, it is wrong or something. Just give it a yes. Anyone? Okay, fine. So let me answer it. So your basic input output is nothing but your the one which you're seeing here. Yeah, it takes what we want and give output. I'm asking the actual devices, KP. So the devices are your keyboard, mouse. So these are all input. So you're inputting or uh, you're trying to input some data to the system. Now I'm typing something, right? So that is an input to the server or machine, right? So that's your input devices, basic input devices. Even your hard disk is an input device. Okay, so again, what is HDD and SSD? So your storage devices, right? There are multiple devices, but the most important one is your hard disk, right? SSD is solid state, right? So now what are all those? Let's see that in a moment. But these are all the important storage devices. So these are also an input to the system. You're inputting the data to it, right? So now what is the output? The most straightforward one is your monitor. So you are seeing the information, right? So that's your monitor as a display. You are seeing it, and your speaker, right? So what else? These two are the major one. Okay. So yeah, there are many inputs are there, but let's keep it very basic for your understanding. So these are all the things. And in BIOS, right? So let me show the BIOS image. So why I'm showing in the Google images, right? So uh, in your case, let's say you are using laptop, right? So BIOS laptop, any laptop's BIOS will look like this. Okay, so that's the reason you should just search for the motherboard or BIOS, right? So like that in your Google image, you will see a different one. Okay, so that's what. Okay, so this is what the BIOS looks like in my case, MSI BIOS, and it first shows the system time, and this CPU and DDR is nothing but your memory. Okay, so CPU and memory is speed, and you see one interesting thing, it is calculated in hertz. Okay, so just like your audio, even this is also calculated in a frequency, the speed of it. Okay, and you can increase and decrease also for not every CPU or memory, but for few you can increase it, the speed of it. So, and how you can see the current speed of your CPU and memory, you see here also you see 3 gigahertz and base speed is 3. And it can go till 3.7 in my case for this CPU. In your case, it will be different. So for laptops, this base speed will be very less. That's the reason it is standing lot of battery, right? So the battery or the power, right? So power usage will be very less as per the speed. Okay, so if speed is increased, the power delivery and everything will be uh, increased, and it will the battery will drain quickly. Okay, and you see some more information like what is the BIOS version, build date, and so many, and the product information. And here also you see the memory size. Let's say if it is still failing, here it won't show the memory. Means it won't be like zero, but let's say you connected multiple memory sticks. So here one of the memory is not working, means here it won't show that. Okay, so that's the thing. And you see this temperature. So temperature makes a very, very important uh, difference of how efficient your system is. Because higher the temperature or higher the heat dissipation in your system, lower the performance. It is directly proportional to lower performance. Why is it so? Because there will be heat loss, and in order to like there will be hot air circulating in the system, and that's the reason. If I show you a data center or any company's data center, you see it will be like there will be 24 bar 7 AC. It is the air conditioning will be there for 24 bar 7. If let's say there is a power outage, and if there is no air conditioning for even 1 hour, the system will be there will be fire, guys. Okay, so that much hot it will be, because there is natively there won't be much air circulation in this kind of setup. Okay, there will be fans obviously, but it won't be efficient or it won't be sufficient in this case. So literally there will be a fire if there is a power outage. for even 1 or even 2 hours. Within that, the system, at least there will be some hardware damage. Okay. So that's the reason there will be a lot of generators and so to make sure there is no power outage due to some natural calamity or some cyclone or anything. Even till that also this can withstand, or they will have a power grid for that. Okay? So that's what. And the temperature also you can see in your machine and the CPU and memory, and that's what like you can change the frequency here and the fan info, the fan speed also you can control or you can at least see that here. Okay. And the most important out of all this is this one, boot priority list. You see, CD drive, disk here, USB it is mentioned, right? Multiple times. So these are all nothing but your boot priority list. What does that mean? So I forward on my mission. Which one I need to prioritize? Whether I need to go to the hard disk or my pen drive or what are the devices, right? So let's say my hard disk. Now, quickly, let me show you the hard disk image so that and SSD. So this is how your hard disk looks like, guys. Literally, there will be a disk inside. So, not a good image. Yeah. So you see the platters, right? So platters or disk. Literally, there will be six or you at least 4 to 5 disks in your hard disk based on the storage it will be. Okay. And the next one is this most important one, your hard disk is here, this IO head. This- Yeah, sorry, there was a network delay. Yeah, so uh, this is the IO IO head or actuator, which means it will oscillate in like too fast. Actually, you can't see that. Okay, so it will move, but in like as a naked eye, you can't see itself how fast it will move, right? So, but what it is actually doing is it is reading your data in real time. Let's say you're opening anything or just like that you're running the OS, right? So for that also it need to load the something. So it will keep on loading and it will actually look for ridges. So your data is actually looks like this in the disk, especially in your hard disk. What is binary, guys? Can someone put it in the chat? What is binary as per your understanding? For sure, you guys might have learned that in your college or anywhere. Binary, what is that? Anyone like this? Yes. Okay, so let me give it. So binaries are nothing but 1 and 0. 1, 0, 0, again. So like this, your actual data is saved like this. Ones and zeros, and it will be a huge array of ones and zeros, like trillions of data it will be. Because nowadays, trust me, in those days, like even a 1 gig or 1 GB itself is a huge thing. Okay, so like 20 or even 30 years back, it is like that. 1 GB is a very huge thing, and it is very costly too. Okay, so that's one. But nowadays, we literally take it for granted because in storage space, it evolved to an extent that it doesn't matter, right? So you can even and in your home itself, you can set up your own um, like data stores. Means like at least 100 TB or 200 TB of data in your home, you can set it up, right? So, but those days it is impossible, right? So and you can't even afford to, right? So coming back to this one, so that's the information. So it is basically trying to look for this ridges. Again, as in naked eye, you can't see that, but there will be a small ridges for each and every disk, right? So this is actual disk, right? So it will be like that, and there is a lot of tracks. Okay, so your hard disk will actually be like this. And now you might question that, okay, so for hard disk, this is like that, but SSD is not the same. It is a chip, but your system is so much adopted to this concept, the concept stays the same. Again, your data, it's not like there is an IO head here or somewhere, but instead of that, there is a controller. So it distributes the data and reads for it, right? So instead of storing in a disk, here it is stored in multiple chips. That's the difference. Okay. And you see, this is prone to hardware failure. Let's say you are obviously you won't carry your computer, but you will carry laptops, and even nowadays, few laptops have hard disk in it. So let's say you dropped your laptop or there is a physical damage. That's it. Your data is gone. Okay, even though it does have a very important data, it is gone forever. So that's the one. Fine. That's your hard disk and SSD. The same thing. It is stored in your as a chip. Okay, and this is far more durable, and the speed is superior. So compared to hard disk, SSD are way better in every way. Okay, so nowadays, but this is cheaper still now. Hard disks are cheaper compared to SSD. And there is one more storage called as tape drives. So we used to have tape recorders, right? So what if that same tape recorder, tape drive, the same tape recorders is having a huge storage. It is called as tape drive, and it is like this. Okay, so tape drives, and still it is a thing. Companies do use tape drives, and you might see a hefty amount for it. Okay, so it's not like because you see around 8.5 lakhs. Why? Because it does have a huge it is a vault basically. So it does say you can save a lot of storage. You can see up to 18 TB it can support in a cartridge. So you can choose how much data you want, and it's a very useful one, guys. But it is maximum speed is 300 MB, which is very low compared to your SSD. So SSD, the maximum speed is, so the fastest one is SSD. The maximum speed is around 8 GB per second. Hard disk, the maximum speed is 2 GB per second. Maximum again, right? So tape drives, the maximum itself is 800 MB per second. The best in the industry also will be just 800 Mbps. Okay. So that's the speed difference of the storage device. So yeah, that's the first thing it will try to boot. Okay. So hard disk, CD or DVD drive, or you have many things, right? So your pen drive or removable devices like that, you have a huge list. Okay. So from that you can choose one. Now the next one, let's say you chosen the hard disk, and in your hard disk, the first thing it is called as NBR. So let me mention that NBR here. So now what is NBR? These two are called as partition style. And for an end user, these all doesn't make sense, or you will never choose uh, like change these. Okay, so but as an sysadmin, these all are important information because this all matters and changes how you're approaching the mission, right? So for sure, these all are very like important for your company, how they are approaching the uh, their devices, right? So that's important. And what does MBR mean? Just call as master data record. GPT is GUID partition table. And which one is used in our Windows? Let's just right click your go to start, right click in your start icon, go to disk management, and you will end up in this screen. Or you can just go to start and type disk management. You will see the same screen. Okay. So right click on one of the disks. And in your case, let's say you have only one disk also, right click that, click on properties. Go to volumes. And here you see the partition style. What does it is? Sorry, GUID partition type. It is GPT. Now, what does that mean? It is like Douglas Windows. And for NBR, obviously, Linux and Unix, many things are there. Okay, so Solaris. So many examples are there for NBR. So firstly, what is the difference between NBR and GPT? So there is a concept called as primary partition. So there is a limitation of how many partitions I can create. So these two are partitions. D drive and E drive is a separate partition in my one of the disk. Like that, I have one partition only for this disk one. There is one more disk with this partition. You can ignore just 100 MB. This is one partition. Okay. But the thing is that how many I can create in one single disk. That's what called as primary partition. So there is a limit basically. Okay. So the limit is in GPT, it is 128 primary partitions you can select in GPT. Whereas in NBR, how many you'll be shocked that it is just 4 primary. Okay. So that's how it is because this NBR has been around for so many years. So from the early stages of your computers till now, MBR has been used, and GPT is compared to that far latest. Okay, so that's the difference. So here it is allowing 128 primary partitions means you can create 128 partitions like this. Whereas in NBR, you can create only 4. 1, 2. Let's say you have 2 more, 3, 4, like that. That's the reason Windows actually goes for which one? GUID. And they popularized GPT. Okay? GUID partition table, they popularized it. So that's your NBR is the standard one in your Linux. And you have so many things, guys, here. Okay, so there is a lot of tracks. Okay. So your data is again saved as a blocks. And that block inside one block itself, there will be a lot of ones and zeros. For us, it is just an image. Even this is an image and all. But for the server, it is a what? It is a block, just a block. And that block consists of ones and zeros. Okay. And it is millions and millions of ones and zeros it will be. Okay. And there are different sectors. So it will, again, it is an imaginary sector. So it depends on how much size you own. Let's say you own 100 TB of data. So many sectors. It will be thousands of sectors. So just for your understanding, I divided 8, right? So 8 sectors. So these all forms one sector like this. Okay. So like this, each and everything is a separate sector. Okay. So now, okay. So I figured what are all the sectors, and there is a different size for each sector. So let's not get too deep into that because this itself is a concept. It'll take at least 3 to 4 hours to explain. That much are there. So let's not get too deep into that. Then we'll move on to the next one. So what is the boot sector? So the next phase it is called as grub. So that grub is stored in the boots. Let's say this is the boot sector. Okay, so yeah, this is the root sector. Then it should go to the next one, right? So what it is grub. Now what does grub mean? And you will see or you might have seen grub screen already. Now what is that? Because BIOS you might have not seen, MBR you cannot see. It is just a concept wise, whereas grub you for sure would have saw before. Even today you might have saw it, which is nothing but your grand unified bootloader. This bootloader is an important terminology, guys. Why? Because it is having what is the instruction set I want to proceed with my system. Let's say I want to use um, like I want my music software or few softwares I need to boot once my system boots. Immediately it should boot along with it. So like that, each and every user have their own set of instructions, and even system itself has its own, right? So it need to do certain things in certain way, right? So that's what called as bootloader. So that takes a lot of, uh, so that's how it is, right? So that bootloader is responsible for doing all those instructions and in a kind of a flow chart. Okay. Now coming back to Grub, so what this means is which operating system I want to pull. So let's say you have two operating system, and yes, in one single system you can have multiple operating systems. Okay, so how is that possible? You can simply install in one hard disk itself. Let's say in this hard disk, I can install one partition for my Mac OS, one is for my Windows, one is for my Linux, or one is for my Ubuntu. So even 4 to 5 operating system you can install, but it will uh, like kind of fail based on the speed and so many things. So you need to have the best hard disk or SSD for that. And most people don't do that, right? So at least two OS you can do, right? So one OS is uh, Linux, means like Ubuntu or RHEL, and one is Windows or Mac OS, anything. And so now, how I'm pretty sure that you might have seen this screen is the grab screen in Windows and Linux. So did you guys saw this one before? For sure, at least one you would have seen. So now for you might have question me that, or there would be a question stating that what if I have only one operating system? Will it go through grep? Yes, because system that cannot speculate that okay, this guy will use only one operating system, so let me not choose which one it is. So even though there is one operating system or you have 5 operating system, it must load via grep. Okay? So like this, and this is also one of the Android emulated grep. You see, Android and Windows system, and like this, Ubuntu, Windows, Arch Linux, Fedora. Like we have 4 operating system in one system. Okay, like that we have um, Slackware and yeah, Slackware is like this. This is an open source one. So you see, this guy has Arch Linux. He has around 5 operating systems. Sorry, 6. Arch Linux, Ubuntu, Manjaro, OpenSUSE, Windows, and Mac. And this is possible, guys. It's not like it is impossible also. It is possible. You can have these many operating system in one single system. And in order to choose these, and one major issue here is you cannot choose multiple things and boot it. System doesn't know or it doesn't work like that, right? So you can choose only one. Let's say I want to choose Linux. I will choose and it will boot. Okay, so once it is booted to Linux, what happens? Yesterday we saw the most important thing in your system is, or the heart of the system, I might have mentioned yesterday what it is, or day before yesterday. What is the heart of the system? The kernel, right? And kernel is a concept which is there in your Windows also, or any system. When it is a Mac OS or even a simple Raspberry Pi, even that has its own kernel to it. Now, what is a kernel? So, kernel is a vital information or vital concept which is inevitable. Like you cannot have a system without a kernel. It doesn't work. Okay, so because it does lot of things. There is disk management. Your whole disk management is demands or like depends on these, and your uh, drive controller or drive manager. You have device managers in your system, right? So what does that mean? Like what are all the devices connected to my machine, right? There is a middleman here, let's say for Bluetooth. So without this Bluetooth drive, sorry, without this Bluetooth driver, you see proper, sorry, not this proper, yes. Without these drivers, you see the device is working quite fine. So without this one, my Bluetooth literally won't work, right? So like that, I have my display, the respective one, and my ports, network, monitoring, everything has its own drive. Okay, so or driver to it. That is a middleman. So like that, and that is also in your which one? Kernel. So your kernel is responsible to manage that. And not only that, so for booting the libraries. So what is a library, guys? In your system, let me give a basic example. This is a new system. Okay. Now, you might have seen one error. Let's say you booted to a game or few softwares, you might have seen an error like this, right? DirectX encountered an unrecoverable error, or it's like this. You're trying to boot to a game and it doesn't boot. Why? Not only for game, many such things you will see errors like this. The library file is not found. So firstly, what is a library? Library is what? A set of instructions or set of code. So let's say like math or your keyboard also has its own library base. And libraries are nothing but APIs, application programming interfaces. Now, what does API does? So a better example is the same Call of Duty game, or let's take DirectX error in GTA 5, like this. No DirectX found or something while you boot your GTA game. What does this mean? So basically, since your machine is very new, it doesn't comes along with this DirectX. Or if it is comes also, it is not the latest driver. So this game is built on top of this DirectX. So some libraries from this DirectX software is used for this game. So what if that library or that software itself is not there? It doesn't work. As simple as that. If that is not found in your system, it doesn't work. So it will randomly, let's say even the game boots randomly after 5 minutes, it will be gone. Because your game, again, it's not just playing, right? So it will keep on fetching and storing and even fetching data. So let's say while it is fetching, that respective library is not there. That's it, it is gone. So library in the sense, one more like example would be your map or simple like this trees or anything. Like, do you think that your developers or anyone will develop on their own everything? The quick answer is no. Okay, so they never develop everything from scratch, guys. The the climate in your game, right? So many things it is developed for, like it is developed for long back, and that concept is there in your DirectX. So without that, obviously the game doesn't work fine. So without the climate in the game, it will be just morning forever. And it is an like live action game, let's say. So it will be morning only. Like anytime you open the game, it will be morning. There won't be any night based like gameplay, or there is no rain or anything, right? So that module itself is not found. Then it won't work like that. It is libraries are there, and your kernel is responsible for loading the libraries. For your OS also, it requires a lot of libraries. So one more example is I will show the actual libraries in our Windows. To go to Windows and the system 32. This is the important folder, and here you see a lot of directories. But if you scroll to the very like few more um, iterations, you see .dll, .dll. You will see everywhere .dll is. Those are all basically libraries. Okay, so .dll file, what it is? Dynamic link library. Okay, so this library is so important, and each and everything you see, even file management, there is a library. Find, there is a library, and right. So firewall, it has its own library, right? So even simple things, even your cursor will have a library, guys. There will be a mouse.dll something, right? Simple thing to a complex in your system, it is based on libraries. And you will be kind of overwhelmed by seeing the size of it. You see, just 49 KB, it is not even a size of an image. Okay? So that much small it is, but it plays a vital role in your system, right? So without that, it does your system, or even let's say if I select randomly uh, like some 100 files here, and if I try to delete it, if I reboot my machine, that's it. My system won't even boot in some cases because again, same thing. This library is not found. So that's how important or crucial your libraries are. Again, you'll come back to these libraries later sessions, but yeah, right? And so many things your kernel does. Okay, so if we cover that, that itself again takes 1 to 2 hours. Not only these, each and every module, even for BIOS, I can go on for like, I didn't even talk about overclocking, and many things are there in your BIOS only. And same thing goes for your grub and kernel and all. So it is a very huge thing what it does. Okay. So now, let's say the kernel is working fine. Now, what does it boot? The next one, which is init levels, and next two steps it goes together. So this is called as init levels, and this is called as the random. Now, what does this one init? What is init? So let's say you choosing the kernel, and sorry, you choose Linux and it boots the kernel, and kernel is working as expected. So it is next step is init. In init, what it does is you need to choose how your system need to be booted, right? So it should be see the different ways of interfaces. What are all the different ways of interfaces? Yesterday we saw what it is, GUI, and the next one is, can someone put it in the chat? Let's see if you remember. What is the other way of interface to the system? GUI and anyone can put it in the chat. Let's see. GUI full form is graphical user interface, right? So how about the other one? Is CLM, right? So command line interface. Okay, so these two are there. So you need to choose between, okay, so I want my system to be GUI, I want my system to be CLM. And even in Windows, you can do that, guys. So if you go to start and type sys config or system configuration, here you see you go to boot and you select no GUI boot this checkbox. And if I click on apply and OK, basically once my system is rebooted, you see, if I check this also, make all boot settings permanent, literally it will be like which one? Your MS-DOS or command prompt. It will look like this. That's it. Okay, so that's how crucial it is. So no GUI boot you can uncheck and so. Okay, and the next one is safe boot. So what does this mean? So let's say some malware attack is there in my system or some issue in my system and I want to get rid of it. And my system is not allowing me to. So in that case, I don't want this. And if the issue actually happens only if I connect to the internet. So I need to somehow turn off the network, which I don't have privilege, let's say. Then I can do this way. So safe boot network means it loads. Sorry, safe boot minimal means it doesn't loads the network. And the network drive, you see, right? Wi-Fi driver, that itself won't be there. So in that case, you can go to that one and you can, let's say, remove that and virus or something. Right? So that is possible. And if you select network, here network will be loaded, but still the third-party softwares, like we see so many third-party softwares, right? Like this PDF reader, Notepad++, so many are there. So all those won't be there. Okay, so only it will be like a new operating system, right? So then you also you can go to that specific path and remove that virus. Okay, so that's this one. And what are all the init levels? So init 0, init 1, init 2, 3, init 4 is not there. I'm not sure why, but init 6. So init 0 till 6 it is. Init 0 means it is shut down. So init shutdown in the sense actual shutdown of your system. So if you go to start, right click, shut down, and shut down, it will shut down the system. So that's how init 0 what it does. So if I just type init 0, it will initiate the shutdown sequence in my system. So how about init 1? It is single user mode or emergency mode. Now, what does that mean? So single user mode is yeah, single user mode is like only that particular user has the access of this one. So let's say this one, I'll open my VMware workstation. So this screen, okay. So let's say I, as a admin, have the access to restart the system, suspend, resume, right? Stop, everything I can do to the system. Okay. So yeah, that's this one. Your single user mode. Only I can do it because there is no remote connection. Now, what is a remote connection? We will see that in next sessions. Even I might have given a basic idea about it in the syllabus part. You will see that. But yeah, as of now, in the single user mode, you don't do that. So how about init 2? It is same, sorry, not single user, it is called as multi-user without network. So the same thing we saw before, right? The network drive won't be there. Means network itself won't be there. Your Wi-Fi, your Ethernet, nothing will be loaded in the init 2 if you selected. By default, it is. Init 3 means same multi-user with network. So now what is multi-user? I keep on mentioning that. Right? So multi-user means actually you can log in with the, let me turn on my VM, like show you that. And don't worry about how to set up all these. I will show you. You see, I opened one connection to this same server remotely. So this is what called as remote connection. It is the same mission actually. It is exact same mission. Exact. How I can confirm? I go to the file explorer. I create a new folder named as Linux 410. Let's see if the same folder is appearing. Right? What is the date? Today's date and time. You're getting the point, right? It is the same server, and I can have multiple sessions, guys. You see? The same user I'm logged in multiple times. Even inside this machine, also I can open one more. So like this is what called as multi-user mode. It is basically multiple sessions you can open with the same user. And even this is impossible in your Windows, guys. You might think that that is strange, but that is how it is. In Windows Server, let's say you open a new connection and you open your colleague also trying to open the trying to connect to the same server with the same user. Let's say admin. Admin is a common user, right? So even he is trying to access, your session will be terminated. Okay, so when he's trying to access, your session will be terminated. And if he's trying to access again, like again, your session will be terminated, right? So it will be allowing only one session at a time, whereas in Linux, by default, it allows multiple sessions. Okay, so that's this one, and that is multi-user mode. And again, this is without network, this is with network, and init 5 is nothing but your GUI. Yeah, actual GUI, like in your, you see this one. This is a GUI, right? You have icons, you're navigating through a cursor, right? So this is GUI mode. And few companies only allows GUI mode. So yeah. And the next one is init 6. So what if you type init 6 here, enter, I'll go here immediately. The system will actually initiate a reboot sequence. So the system will reboot basically. That's it, you see. I didn't press any key. It automatically trying to reboot the server, right? You see, it is initiating the reboot. And this is what called as grub screen test. You can choose between two. And there is no two operating system. It is a rescue mode. You will see those. Don't worry. I'll show all the booting process in your system twice. Maybe in tomorrow's session, I will see. Okay. So that's it, your init process. And run level is nothing but your startup application. So what is, yeah, startup. So in Windows, what does startup means? You want these applications to be started along with their OS, right? So that's what a run level is. If you mention that application, let's say Chrome.exe, it will be booted along with my OS. I can do that. And there is one more path, which is called as etc init.d. So if you place that specific file or the binary of it here, it will be booted along with the OS. Okay. So there is even one more path called as etc rc t.d, and we can even place it here. Okay. So yeah, either way it should boot. And what is this RC3 means? What is init3? It is multi-user with network. And this one, init 3 and 5 is what not company, everywhere it will be used. It is a common one. So this is nothing but your CLI, because we need network, right? That's the most important aspect. So you cannot choose init 2. So init 3 is the default one. Init 5 is also default one in some cases. So there's a GUI mode, this is CLI. Okay. So these are all the init 3 levels. And once you're done with all these init levels and run levels, your system is booted. So that's your booting procedure. You will see the logs of your system. Okay. So yeah, guys. So these many things it goes through within seconds, right? So nowadays laptops use SSD, which are way faster, right? So it will happen or it will boot within not even 1 minute it will take. Within, let's say, 40 to 50 seconds, it will go through all these and it will boot. Okay, so that's your booting procedure. Okay, so let's see in next session, the installation part. So I will show you the which file you need to download. So again, so I will just show you how to install and set up, but tomorrow you can download it. Okay, it's already time. So we will see that in tomorrow session. And if you're fine with my way of training, and it will be purely practical, guys. So just anyhow, this are all. Again, I can explain each and everything like too long, but it does, but that much knowledge is not required, actually speaking. Okay. You will eventually get to know all these once you start working. Again, it's not like, okay, every day I will change the init level or kernel or so, but you will eventually understand how the system works, right? So, yeah, once let me give the link. Yes, so this is the link. Again, if you're fine with my way of training, so please do enroll for the course, and it will be a very good course to start your career in Linux. Or uh, if you are already a Linux admin, it will be like a refresh for every concepts, every important concepts, and that's what. So because Linux is a necessity nowadays, so without that, even for developer, it is a hard time for that. So yeah, guys, then let's see in tomorrow session. And thanks all then. Have a good one. Bye bye.